It's time for the Week in Review. Look at national, regional, and local stories from the past week. Here's Brandon Hansen, Managing Editor of the Chewelah Independent, and Scott Allen, Managing Director of Northern Lights Public Radio.
On this week's show, we're starting off with Brandon's Quick Hitters, which strangely enough are kind of about my cat.
Yes, it is about your cat. So the mayor yesterday or the day before, depending on when this is aired, pardoned your cat for biting her. That has to be, in Chewelah history, the first time a mayor has partially pardoned a cat.
I would think it probably is. It should maybe go. Do you have any way through the newspaper that you can submit that to the Associated Press?
I think we need to do that. Let's see if we can't get it on your weird news, because I think we should be able to. So I might. You know what? I'm going to give it a try.
All right.
Let's see if somebody will bite on that story, literally. But and you kind of said this before. I was surprised how funny Mayor Knaus was with the whole thing. She had a lot of jokes with that.
Well, she was outrageous, and we'll see how this. I've been playing it on the morning show. I'm going to play it Friday morning again.
Right.
I took the clip out where she pardons the mooch on it. It was like a half-hour interview with the city, but I got that clip out of it, and I'll rebroadcast it on Friday. If we don't fill a full 30 minutes with this show, I might go in and drop it in on the edited version. We'll see if I can work that in. But yeah, I was totally impressed with her mad comedic writing skills. She had this whole bullet point list of things the cat was guilty of. It was pretty awesome. And what a cute way to add to our fundraiser, to only partially pardon the cat unless we raise the $5,000 for the 50-50 raffle that we're trying to. So,
does this mean Mooch could leave in the back of a police cruiser?
Yeah, that'd be kind of scary for me. Here goes my cat.
With the lights going.
I think I'm probably pretty safe, though, because she bit the mayor 5 years ago. It's just kind of lived on in, infamy. But I don't think statutes of limitations would let her be arrested or impounded at this time. So
that would be the best court case ever, though. I would just love that for the entertainment of the deal.
Oh, one of the questions I asked her after it was all over with, I said, how long did it take to heal? Because when I saw the blood after the cat bit her, and I saw the blood, we were live on the radio.
Right.
And I saw the blood coming out of her hand. I was horrified.
Right,
right. And she'd never done that to anyone before. And it was a typical cat, just, oh, you petted my stomach a little too long. I'm going to give you the warning bite, but it was a little too hard.
Oh, cats. They're a different creature, I just tell you that.
Yes.
But I do want to thank you, because during that interview with, the city, and just kind of explain, you kind of explained some things that I think people need to think about more, and it was certainly kind of about the insurance thing with the city, and basically what you said were people were coming to you complaining about the insurance thing and trying to get you to do something.
A lot of people came to me. It was almost to the point where it was getting, and I'm sure you've experienced it on certain issues, where it was getting irritating, because it's obviously, to me, I obviously knew it was fake news, but I've got a little different experience having worked with nonprofits. I've worked for nonprofits as a general manager before, so I kind of understand how government things work, because when you're in a nonprofit group, it is kind of a little microcosm of a city government or something like that. And there's a whole process. Not one person can just go, this is what we're doing. There's a whole process that has to go through when you're gonna when the city's gonna take on something like a new insurance carrier, and they're gonna shop that around, and they're gonna take the best bid they get for what they need. There's a process to it. We have a city council. It's obvious. And the fact that because somebody worked for a company who is a broker for this particular carrier, to think that there's something nefarious going on, it's just people looking for something to get stirred up about that isn't there. And I think Facebook and social media are primary tools, and sometimes water cooler talk on the streets of Chewelah. But think it through before you spread those rumors, or even come to somebody with no proof saying, look what's going on, you need to talk about it on the radio. Like I would do that to someone.
Right.
And as a reporter, and the first thing I usually tell them too is, you know what, we don't have the staff as an all-volunteer public radio station to do news. I get that from the Independent.
Right. Right.
So I send them to you, basically,
Thanks.
Brandon.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, we kind of get like two different kind of sources. Somebody that comes in that has a valid concern and they've done their research and they have, they have all sorts of paper trail and stuff like that. Be like, hey, this is a problem. And this isn't, referring to the city specifically or anything, but they have researched whatever topic they're angry about, and they have a lot of official documents, actions, things like that, to where we can report on it where we feel confident in terms of
the sources validated.
Right,
yeah.
right. And then there's that second type of person that comes in, wants to stir things up, has no sources or anything. And what I love is they come to me and say, hey, you should check this out. Didn't hear from me. And they leave. And it's like, I don't have
unlimited resources of
unlimited
time.
resources to go after that sentence that you told me. And I think they watch way too many Hollywood movies where like reporters meet people on rooftops and dark alleys and stuff. Like,
don't you wish you were that guy though?
Yeah. That's not how that works. Is hey, look up Stinky Pete, in the other department, and you'll find all sorts of stories. No, that's not how that really works out there. And I think everybody is looking for the next Watergate or something like that, and which is great. You should always question government, but the thing is, every time I've questioned the city of Chewelah, hey, what about this? What about this? They do answer.
Yes, and that's what I said during the. It's these people will talk to you,
right? But the people that come in are talking to us before they ever go to the city.
Yes.
So they're trying to create an issue before they ever try to solve it before. Yeah,
proof
or
of a
have any
problem.
proof or anything like that. And again, I don't want to discourage people from questioning government because
that's important.
That is very important. But the thing is, there are a lot of things you could ask Mike or you could ask Dorothy about and question them about.
Before you spread a rumor, before
Yes.
you repeat what you heard, especially if something like that. To me, that whole rumor should have been obvious.
Yeah.
But maybe it isn't to some people.
Right.
But so if it's not obvious to you that it's a rumor, if you have the slightest doubt, you don't have any proof, figure it out.
And time and again, we run into these issues where these rumors come around and there's no truth behind them.
Yeah.
And it's really infuriating because it wastes everybody's energy. They're going around saying these things. And this just isn't in the city. I feel like we're kind of focusing on the city, but...
Because it's an example of something that happened currently. I felt horrible through the whole thing for Mike and Casey, because who needs someone around town spreading rumors about them, being up to something nefarious? It's not fair.
Right,
right. And the people that came through in the door, they got scolded by me when they walked back out.
Right.
It's like, no, think this through. That is not even close to being true. And yeah.
And going through journalism school and things and trying to figure out as a growing journalist, like, hey, what do you cover? Things like that. And, a lot of what my professors will always tell me is, how important is it to the community? Because some people come to me with just disagreements they have with the city. Like, hey, they're doing a policy I don't like.
I don't like the new parking plan they decided on.
Yeah.
But I never went to the forum either.
Right. And it's like,
whatever, yeah.
And it's all like I disagree with some things the city does too. And that's fine. That is healthy. That's in a republic. That is fantastic there. But you can't. That isn't necessarily a story. Like, that isn't necessarily a story if you just disagree with the people. Now you can write a letter to the editor explaining your disagreement, but
it has went through a process and it was duly approved by
Right.
the city council. It's just it's like when you get a new president, you just deal with it.
Right.
You
And
you
I'm
might
not
agree, but it's a done deal.
Right, and that's just like, how do you write that story? Like, somebody off the street disagrees with
Yeah.
with the city administrator. It just doesn't work that way. And the other thing, part two, is see how important the matter is, because some people will come forward with things just like small procedural things or something like that they think is like a Watergate thing or a big scandal, and it's like, no, that's just, that kind of stinks that they have to deal with that or something, it makes it more difficult for somebody or something like that, but that isn't necessarily a story. That's the problem. And I'm talking about, it can be, anything in terms of inner workings, in terms of like, well, so-and-so's paid this, but so-and-so's paid that. That's not like, that isn't a story. Like, I really got to apologize, because when it really becomes a story is if something's illegal, or something is hurting the community, or something is holding the community back. And these small little snippets, like, well,
it's not positive, it's not healthy. Think about it, if you had a job where you're kind of in the public limelight, or at least
Right.
in the public eye, and somebody said something about that, like you. So when you first heard the insurance rumor, the question before you repeated it, should have been in your head, how would I feel if somebody said something about me and it wasn't true, before you repeat that rumor. And that was when you take those jobs, it's no different than being the editor of the newspaper, or being the manager of the radio station. You get some attention, and sometimes it's not the best.
Right.
I've had a few, but they're cute.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of giggle about them. But I wouldn't have been happy, if I would have been accused of something like that with the radio station, with the insurance, I would have been infuriated.
Right.
It's not fair.
Right.
It's not fair. So think about those things, people, and treat each other a little nicer.
And also just think about, like, and this is another thing, is how common are these things? Chewelah, as a rural town, faces a lot of issues that aren't necessarily unique. That's the thing. Like, they say, well, they don't have a whole lot of money. Well, you can go to every small town in America. Guess what? There's potholes in the streets, and there's not a lot of money. So,
and did you hear in the interview how much money when they went out looking for new insurance, how much they saved by the carrier?
Yeah,
it was like almost $20,000. I can't remember the exact figure, but it was thousands and thousands of dollars that they are saving by switching, carriers.
Right.
So it's a good thing.
Yes, it is a good thing.
and that's what, under all the ugly rumors, it was actually a good thing.
Well. You can always kind of put a negative spin on things.
Yeah.
And again, boy, this sounds like...
And we kind of are too right now, so maybe we should stop.
Yeah, maybe we should stop
But it was something me and Brandon both felt it was important, even though it was already addressed on the radio once, is to address it again.
Yeah.
Because it's not positive.
And I don't want to say don't question your government or your government officials. Always do that. But do your research. That's what we're saying. Do your research. If you're going to come to us with some kind of story that you want to break, make sure you actually have something.
So here's an example of fake news hitting Chewelah.
Yes.
All right. So 49 degrees north. They've had some fake news rumors too. We'll get into that. But they've announced a new lodge and lift. Ski season might be wrapping up, but there's apparently a lot of work to look forward to up at Chewelah Peak. The Chewelah-based 49 degrees north ski resort is planning on big things for the future, and this is according to the resort president and owner John Eminger. New ski lodge and lift are planned for construction in 2 to 3 years. All right, so some big changes gone on there. The lodge is expected 30,000 square feet, along with a new lift, would cost upwards of $10 million.
That's a pretty big project there.
Wow. Another 30,000 square feet to the lodge. That's huge, too.
Well, it would be a brand new lodge. Just with the lodge they currently have up there, it's been around for quite a while.
Long
since
time.
49 opened up. So, like anything... you got to keep updating if you want your ski resort to continue to grow and expand and things like that. Having a lodge that hasn't been really expanded, or it probably has been updated, but you know what I mean. It hasn't been turned into a new lodge since the 70s. It needs to change. There's a need to change there.
All right. So there's still many steps the ski resort has to take, first of which is finding a bank to finance the project, and then to work with the National Forest Service to pick a location and hook up utilities with that, because I believe they're in a situation where they're leasing that land from the Forest Service. So
yeah, it has to be tough to be that ski resort because you have to deal with all the National Forest Service stuff.
Every time you're going to do something new, you've got to go through a whole bunch of hoops to make sure that it's not going to damage the forest. But, in turn, that's a good thing, too.
And construction, too. Imagine if you're the construction company and you got to drive up Flowery Trail and get all your stuff driven up there?
Yeah, well, just don't get behind the semi-truck.
All right.
Because those passing lanes, they don't work.
They don't work.
They don't work. All right, once construction begins, a new lodge should take about 18 months and could feature modular construction. Along with the new lodge, Eminger also announced a new high-speed lift next to it, and it would take about 5 months to build. According to the Spokane Journal of Business, there are also plans to renovate the current lodge along with modernizing current lifts and snowmaking operations.
So these are future plans. Like you said, they still need to find a bank to finance this, but that's the direction they want to go, which this is quite a turnaround from, like we said, rumors circulating in Chewelah where they said that the Kalispel tribe was thinking about purchasing 49 Degrees North. Now, Eminger and the 49 Degrees North PR director addressed this in the Chewelah Chamber meeting, I believe it was about 2 weeks ago.
The rumors have been going for weeks.
Yeah, been going for weeks, but there's been a rumor that 49 have been sold to Kalispel tribe, but both Eminger and Emily, right?
Yes.
Yes, both of them said no sale has taken place. But what the Kalispel tribe did buy was a recent corporate sponsorship for the Ski Free Week, which was this week. So maybe there was some confusion there. And what they're saying was there's no sale that has happened. Maybe the Kalispels looked at them or something like that. But, you really can't say one way or another or be sure, but right now 49 Degrees North is still, owned by John Eminger, and it looks like they're moving forward with projects. And, you wouldn't be planning all this stuff if you had sold the ski resort there.
Definitely.
So, more Chewelah news. Chewelah sees a drop in taxable retail sales. It slipped just a bit, but we still did have $10.85 million in taxable retail sales in Chewelah. But that's a 0.6% drop over the same period 1 year prior, according to the state's Department of Revenue. Colville also decreased a 0.5%, but they're by far the most active city in Stevens County with $61 million worth of sales. And I think this has something to do with, they have a lot of industry up there with Loggins and all the other kind of manufacturing, Hughes Craft, things like that. That certainly bumps up their sales there. And Stevens County as a whole dropped 0.7% in taxable sales. Stevens County was only 2 counties in the state that showed a decrease in retail sales in the third quarter, which is just something to keep an eye on. We've seen some indicators just of an economic slowdown. It seems like Northeast Washington kind of is a little bit of the canary in the mine shaft there. It seems like we're the first to feel the pinch of a recession and the last to get out of it. So, and I'm not saying, well, start stuffing money under your pillows or something like that, because, this always happens in the economy. You have dips and ups and things like that. But it's something to take a note on that, okay, so we had a decrease in sales. It's just something to keep an eye on.
I'm kind of surprised just because we've had a lot of new businesses open up lately, or a few new businesses and stuff, and I'm kind of surprised because the town seems to be growing and things are looking better, and I mean visually too. And I'm kind of surprised to see that we had a drop in sales, especially with a couple new businesses on Main Street.
And it's not a huge drop. It's like 0.6%, very minuscule.
I would have expected it to be up though. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'm not an economist person, so I can't really tell you the reasons or anything like that. But what I'm saying is this nationally, we kind of had a slowdown in sales in that last third quarter, so we could just be
Maybe
seeing.
we should look into getting a show economist we can bring in and ask him questions.
What's Ryan Moore up to?
Yeah. All right, we have an accident that has injured one person. It was 11 miles south of Chewelah, involving a vehicle crossing into the opposite lane and hitting an oncoming semi-truck, resulting in 2 injuries and one person going to St. Joseph's Hospital late Sunday night. We had one of these last week,
yes,
too, and we talked about how wouldn't it be nice if they just put K-rails down 395. According to Washington State Patrol, drugs or alcohol were involved in the accident. Accident report said that a 1997 Ford F-250 driven by Corny E. Reinhardt, 24, was headed northbound when it crossed the center line and hit a blue 2006 Freightliner semi with a Traeger driven by 52-year-old Terry Altivar of Colville. Now, in the Ford pickup, there were 3 passengers, Brian Reinhardt, 32, of Valley, and 2 minors. The minors were uninjured while Brian Reinhardt was taken to St. Joseph's Hospital. Corny Reinhardt, I don't know if I'm saying that name right, was also injured but not transported to the hospital. Semi-truck driver was not injured. Now, both the minors had their seatbelts on, as did the passenger on the Ford. Corny Reinhardt was not wearing a seatbelt. Charges of negligent driving are pending.
Yeah, they didn't really say if it was drugs or alcohol, but again, people, you can't be doing that kind of stuff on Highway 395. It's dangerous enough as it is, and you throw mind-altering things into the mix, and that is a bad kind of mixture of things there. Also, semi-trucks, that's a hard one. I really feel bad for semi-truck drivers, because if you're in a car and you see something happen in front of you, at least you have a split second to maybe make some kind of move or change or, avoid something. Those semi-truck drivers really can't do that. They don't have...
It's a life or death decision, I imagine, sometimes, too, is do I hit this wreck or do I take this rig off road? And if it's an oil tanker or a gasoline tanker or something like that, you're not going to take it off road. You got to plow through the accident and hope you don't kill somebody. So that'd be a lot of stress, a lot of responsibility.
And I can't describe enough, working in kind of a logging family and talking to quite a few truck drivers, they take this very seriously. If they're involved in a fatal accident, like somebody runs into them and, dies or something like that, that hits them very hard.
They got to live with that.
Yeah, they got to live with that. And that's very hard on them and very stressful.
Even if it's not their fault.
Yeah, even if it's not their fault, you're still like, oh, wow. It's semis. I feel like people don't respect them enough and don't understand how they can't stop on a dime or slow down on a dime or something like that. So I feel like sometimes they're more involved in accidents because people still treat them like cars and they're not.
And they can't. You can't just slam on your brakes in front of them. Sure.
And,
right, you have some more bad news for the economy? Come on, Brandon.
I'm grumpy today.
Man.
I don't know. But the February unemployment report shows a slight downtick in jobless claims in Stevens County, but Washington State as a whole lost 8,700 jobs on a seasonally adjusted basis. This from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The private sector lost 7,900 jobs. This comes after the state added about 10,000 jobs in January and 13,000 jobs in December. Stevens County has an unemployment rate of about 8.9%, which is still a 4-year low for that month, and it's down from January's 9.4% mark. So, that's good news there for unemployment. We're also the lowest unemployment rate in the Tri-County area. I think Ferry County is the highest with something like 15% or something like that. And then King County is the lowest with like 3.5% unemployment there. And they say seasonally adjusted. Usually towards the end of the year, a lot of people add jobs for that holiday rush. And then at the beginning of the year, all those people kind of, get laid off or something like that. But then also, you have construction jobs kind of pick up because the weather's good again. So they really have to adjust for this ebb and flow of seasonally adjusted workers. You have farming and things like that. So if you don't take any of that into consideration, if you're just like, how many jobs do we add? How many jobs do we lose? Washington actually added 64,000 jobs to their workforce. But the thing is, that happens every season. So if you add up all the historical trends, we actually lost 8,700 jobs.
Wow.
Does that make sense? So we added jobs, but if you factor in previous years of hiring and things like that, we're short 8,700 jobs.
Wow. So it looks good, but not really.
Yeah, not really that seasonally adjusted thing. Right. So again, just kind of that canary in the mine shaft there is just kind of like, just a little bit of a slowdown, just be, I just hate when people think the economy is always going to be the same. It's always up and down. Just remember that. There's trends.
We had a good summer with building in Stevens County last year. Hopefully it continues this year as well.
Yes.
I remember Mike talking about a record number of building permits from the city.
Yeah, no, it's a kind of things are popping up all over the place, really. Right. So hopefully, that momentum continues through. I think these are more national trends than local trends, if that makes sense.
All right. I wanted to wrap up today's show by seeing how we talked about Mooch Money Madness at the beginning and Mooch biting the mayor and her half pardon. How are ticket sales going at the Independent? You guys need a refill yet?
A refill?
A refill of tickets. I want you to sell more.
Well, I did see lots of tickets in the jar.
Nice,
so
nice.
I keep walking by. Do you guys collect those every week, or how's that work?
We wait till you call us and say, hey, we're running low, and then we come and grab those and bring you some fresh ones. And we've got them at the Chewelah Independent, where you are, and we also have them at the Valley Drug Company, and then DJs have them too. You can also call the radio station, and we'll actually deliver them to your place if you want some tickets, 509-935-6627. If you're off in Deer Park, Ryan Moore has tickets, and in Colville, it's K.S. Brooks. So.
And we actually had somebody stop by, forget that they already bought tickets, and they bought tickets again.
Nice. So. I like that. I had a family come, and the mom, they were turning in talent show because we have Chewelah's Got Talent coming up on the 4th, tryouts on the 20th and the 27th, and she was coming to turn in talent forms, and she wanted a Mooch Money Madness ticket, and it was cute because the cat actually got up, came over, greeted the boy, then went and stabbed in the doorway with the door open, so all the kids in the car could see her and the mom, and they were all grinning ear to ear. So I thought that was cute. They actually got greeted by the cat selling the raffle tickets. So.
Your cat is the greatest marketing director ever.
People been stealing pictures off Facebook and put them on other places and making memes. You're guilty of a meme. I saw the one where you said I was a magician and called me the great Scott Dini.
Hey, that's fantastic.
All right.
That photo made you look like a magician. All you needed were 2 tigers and Mooch. You'd be good to go.
I'm off to Vegas.
Yeah, you're off to
Vegas. All right, that's our show for this week. I'm Scott.
I'm Brandon.
Thanks for listening to the Week in Review with Brandon Hanson, Managing Editor of the Chewelah Independent, and Scott Allen, Managing Director of Northern Lights Public Radio. Past episodes are in video format on the Chewelah Independent's website and on KCHW's YouTube channel. This program was recorded and filmed at the KCHW FM studios in Chewelah, Washington.